Tonight on the ballot, we talk to the men in black about the vagaries of election policing. We x-ray past elections and evaluate the effectiveness of law enforcement agencies. Also tonight, we have a guide for the voter on election day. Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to the Ballot, NTA's comprehensive pre-election program. My name is Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Nice to have you join us. Now, I don't know about you, but the 2019 elections cannot come fast enough for me. For the business of nation building, the genuine attempt at holistic development and a responsible process of positive growth to return to the front burner. The elections act as the midwife that ensures the birth of any democratic cycle. The success of this process is largely hinged on the safety and security of the voters, election officials, and most importantly, the sensitive materials. Now, how has the Nigerian police fared in past elections and what lessons for this year's exercise? Assistant Commissioner of Police Frank Mba is the first public relations officer. ACP Mba, let me belatedly congratulate you on this new appointment and welcome you to the ballot.
Thank you very much.
Now, the 2019 general elections is the first major assignment of the new leadership of the Nigerian police. Are you apprehensive with the dates fast running towards the elections?
I don't think apprehension is the word. I think we are cautiously optimistic that with all the...
I say that considering the enormity of the task.
Yes, and that's also why I use the word cautiously optimistic. That looking at all the things we've done, the volume of work we've done, the level of preparations we've carried out in terms of training, in terms of the security threat analysis we've carried out, in terms of our deployment strategies, in terms of our partnership and collaborative efforts with INEC, with sister security agencies, with election observers, both domestic and international, and our synergy with the civil society organizations. We are quite hopeful and trusting God that everything will turn out beautifully well.
We had the INEC chairman on Monday, and he was saying that, of course, he gave us a list that it was almost 120,000 polling units nationwide. Looking at that, you have enough men in terms of personnel to man every unit.
Well, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abu has held quite a lot of interactive session with members of the public, and in each of these fora he has repeatedly said our strength we will be drawing additional strength from other security agencies. The truth is that if we should work with the strength of the Nigerian police force alone, surely we won't have enough men to cover those pools. But Nigeria should be rest assured that we won't have those challenges. Reason being that we will be drawing strength from our sister security agencies. We'll be working with the customs, the immigration, the civil defense, the prison, the federal road safety, and of course the military will also be at the background, also providing backup. So I think with all these synergies and collaborations and partnership across the different level, we don't have anything to fear, and we are adequately prepared, adequately mobilized, adequately motivated, and adequately trained for this exercise.
Now, maybe you can give us a little peek at the rules of engagement, putting into consideration the fact that policemen at the polling units are not supposed to be, really armed in that way. How would you perhaps control the crowd or the voters in cases of clashes or all that?
One of the reasons why the police incorporated that approach in our standard operational procedure is the belief of the IGP that election or electioneering is not tantamount to warfare. We're not going to war. and we are not expecting, as it were, a civil disorder at the polling booths. And so the policemen that are being deployed at the immediate vicinity of the polling booths and polling centers will not be armed. But no one should take that for granted, because no one should take the liberty of that and begin to misbehave, because we will have operatives from the tactical squads, the police mobile squad, the counter-terrorism unit, the special protection unit, as well as the special forces stationed at very strategic locations, and most of them will just be a phone call away. So these are going to be the rapid response teams that will be strategically positioned, and we'll also be having roving patrols. We'll be having area patrol as well, and we also have men patrolling the waterways. So we are adequately mobilized, like I've said initially, and our deployments are going to be strategic. These deployments are going to be intelligence driven, they're going to be target oriented, they're going to be purposeful, and they will be designed to achieve results at different times during the election.
In terms of figures, can you give us, a figure you are working with tentatively now in terms of the men you are deploying primarily on election duty? I wouldn't
want to play around with figures, but I can tell you that almost every 7 police officer in Nigeria will be one way or the other involved in the election duty. Every 7 police officer will be one way or the other involved in election duty, because even those who are not going to be on the field, they'll probably be at the control room, they'll probably be in the office collecting information, processing data, and working on it. Some might not be at the polling center, they will be carrying out operational patrols. Some will actually be carrying out monitoring patrols. These are more like our own internal observers. So we have police officers actually policing the policemen that have been deployed. So almost all of us, including the IGP himself, will be out on the streets doing exactly what Nigerians expect us to do on the election day.
I'm sure you have been, perhaps reading the newspapers and watching some, television in this past few days, or past few weeks. And the rhetorics have been ranked up by political actors. That will not help your job, talking about raising tension, beating different drums before the election day itself. Are you engaging the political actors on these rhetorics?
I can tell you that just like every other Nigerian, officers are men of the Nigerian police force. Collectively and individually, we are monitoring the narratives, the political narratives out there. At our organizational level, I'm aware that the Inspector General of Police has earlier given out instructions to Commissioner of Police across the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT Abuja, to engage in what we call confidence building engagements with these politicians. So across the different states of the Federation, there are meetings, consultations going on. Commissioners of police have been engaging these politicians from all the different divide and talking to them. We've also issued warnings against hate speeches and speeches capable of hitting up the polity. We're also concerned about fake news. Not just hate speeches, we're also concerned about fake news. And our strategy has been, and that's part of the reason why each time you call me, I try to respond as much as I can. Because part of our strategy in tackling fake news have also been to be positively engaged with both the traditional media and the social media, because we believe that if we can put out information timely and respond to inquiries timely and dispel rumors as quickly as we can, we probably may be able to cut down incidences of fake news. You know that during at the peak of politics like this, people try to throw out all kinds of stories out there Because for me, fake news is clearly when people deliberately put out information that they know are totally false or substantially false. They can put out for different reasons, either because they want to clickbait people, or for those who are running blogs and they believe that the more people click on the story, the more their alerts, in quote, the more their bank accounts swell up, so they clickbait citizens, or those who deliberately put out false stories in order to achieve definite political gains.
All right.
So we'll continue to deal with all of them: hate speeches, fake news, and all kind of conducts and manners capable of derailing our elections.
Yes, people who have been observing the Nigerian political space, have observed with worry some developments in the past week. Arson has been introduced. In Isialangwa, for instance, Abia State, a PVC collection center was razed to the ground. Now, a lot of people are saying police has to now begin to look at issue of anticipating some of these things instead of even just being perhaps reactionary.
You know, policing is a very complicated process. Is a very complicated enterprise. As much as you try to be proactive, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, there are moments where you just have to be reactive. It's the same thing as saying, as much as you try to prevent crimes, there are moments where your crime prevention mechanism may not, just like a net, it might not be able to prevent all the crimes you wanted to prevent. And when that occurs, what do? You react to it. You investigate. You go after the perpetrators. You get them. You bring them to justice. You then sit back, understudy what happened, look at their modus operandi, look at what was their motive and mission and reason behind the commission of the offense, and then put measures in place to ensure that similar things don't occur again. Draw from the lessons of that particular incident and come up with a new design that is purposefully built to checkmate such in the future. And that's exactly what we're doing in Abia State. As at the last time I got a brief on it, 3 persons were interrogated, 1 was granted bail, 2 were detained, including police officers, and we are leaving nothing to chances, and that's exactly what we're doing.
All right, looking at of course, as we said earlier, as we opened the program, it's a 4-year cycle, the presidential election and other elections. But in the ensuing years, we've had some gubernatorial elections and all that. Are the election offenders that were apprehended during those exercises, have they been prosecuted and some brought to book?
Well, I can't answer those questions because I don't have the facts. But what I do know is that since 1999, when this cycle or when this republic came into being, what we've done at the NPF level have been to, at the end of every election, we look at what we did generally, look at areas we did well, commend ourselves, and try to improve on them. Look at the areas we clearly know that we did not do well, and then carry out a proper postmortem and then try to improve, try to fix, try to remedy the loopholes or remedy the mischief that we noticed.
All right, most of these mischiefs, as you to quote you, come from some of the areas that are clearly known as flashpoints, across the country. When you see that clearly some communities have these cases recurring every election. Have you done some profiling ahead of this election?
I told you at the beginning that we carried out what we call security threat analysis across the length and breadth of the country. There were also other organizations that also carried out the similar threat analysis, and the good thing is that most of them did turn over their results, the results of their analysis to us, or rather shared the results of the analysis to us. And that's why I said our deployment strategy are purposeful and intelligence driven. They are target oriented. And for each state of the Federation, we have a tailor-made deployment strategy for them. So the deployment strategy we're using in Kano, for example, might not be exactly the same strategy we'll use in Enugu, because we customize our strategies to suit the security needs of that particular state. So for example, in some areas, we might not have need for area patrols, for example. Of course, if a state is not littoral, if a state is not surrounded by water bodies, we may not have any need to deploy the marine police to the state, and so on and so forth. So every state has got, of course, we have a general deployment strategy, but every state will get customized deployment strategies designed to suit the security needs of that particular state.
All right. Now looking at that, we know that your men will be stretched over this period.
Certainly.
And because of that, have you put in place, you know, a program or perhaps a scheme that would, you know, cushion the effect, so to say, Nigerian language, to motivate the Nigerian policemen?
Again, at the beginning of this program, I also told you we've carried out massive trainings and retraining. These trainings are designed to fill what I can call knowledge gaps that we detected from previous elections. The trainings are also designed to prepare officers and men psychologically for the challenges ahead. You need to know from time that, okay, I am going to run a race. This is not a 100-meter dash. It's certainly going to be a 4,000 kilometers race. So I need to arrange myself. I need to prepare myself, prepare my fitness, prepare my water pack, get ready for everything. So that's the purposes, or that's the purpose of the training. In terms of motivation, we've also done this. The sitting IGP is a man, beyond the fact that he's a strategic thinker and a strategic leader, he understands the import and the importance of motivating your men and carry them along. What we've designed is that every police officer participating in this election, we have his allowances paid directly into his salary account. So it's designed in such a way so that there will be no interference by any other factor or any other person. And
before I let you go further, what is the response from the field, from your, you know?
Beautiful, beautiful, because this has also been test run, and that's why I said every election we've had, we use them as a learning period for us. For every single election we've had in this country, beyond the fact that we're actually working, is also a laboratory for us, is a learning curve for us. And that's why if you watch the trajectory of elections in Nigeria, starting from 1999 as it were, you would have noticed, if you want to be sincere, consistent improvement in the conduct of our policemen and in our operational strategies up to 2015. I mean, there was so much tension around 2015. That election came, we did marvelously well, to the admiration of all Nigerians and all election observers, international as well as local. we want to take it a step further. We just need the support of Nigerians, because at the end of the day, if we do everything we need to do, and the bulk of the citizens out there, including the politicians, make things impossible for us, we run into bigger challenges. So we need to work together as a people, as a nation, and we need to collaboratively drive our country on the positive lane.
Security experts have opined that to help this process from the policing perspective, technology has to be deployed in terms of surveillance. Are you looking at this direction?
Yes, we are. We are, and we equally have technology. We consistently, we've been adopting technologies. I mean, the only constant thing is change, and if we remain stagnated in one place, we wouldn't be where we are today. So there are a whole lot of technologies that we've adopted, we are adapting, we'll continue to use, but it's not everything we'll talk on TV. Sure.
I can see that you have done some, you are doing some chest thumping, so we should be getting some confidence from what you're saying. I know that Nigerians continue to once in a while express this trepidation that somebody will just come, raise a few guns, shoot, and everybody runs home and all that. Do you want to say something to Nigerians at this time? In terms of their conduct on that day, and in known areas where we know that some hoodlums have been, known to do this.
But you will equally believe with me that the hoodlums are Nigerians, and anybody that wants to cause problem on that day, they're majorly people that we know. And that's where our rules as citizens of this country come in. We must work together. We must ensure violence of all kinds. The young men and women that probably might be tempted to be involved in thuggery and violence, they are children of somebody somewhere. So I expect parents, I expect guardians to keep a close watch on their children at this period. I also expect our parents to actually behave like parents, because we've also seen some adults, people who are fathers and grandfathers,
most of the politicians are parents,
behaving at this period. So I expect adults to behave like adults, and I expect citizens to be driven more by patriotic zeal rather than by selfish inclinations and selfish desires.
Before I let you go, there have been some deployments, especially commissioners of police across the country. Some people are saying some political parties are crying foul in some states, but my own question is, this deployment, the lateness, is it to your advantage? Is it an Achilles heel or an advantage in terms of perhaps getting acquainted with the lay of the land?
I want to say something here. We are not politicians. The Nigerian police force is not a political party. We are professionals. We are politically neutral elements. We are apolitical in every sense of the word. We are loyal, first and foremost, to the Constitution of this country, to the people, and to this nation. A lot of us have lost limbs, lost eyes, lost lives in the course of serving this country. And so sometimes it's painful when we do our job and try to do them professionally, and people begin to paint us with political brush. Police deployments are not based on any other consideration other than competence and the ability to deliver on our organizational goal, the IGP, Mohamed Abubakar Adamu, has repeatedly said we will provide a level playing field for all politicians.
ACP Frankumba, I want to congratulate you again on your appointment and wish you the very best, especially in the coming days.
Thank you. God bless you.
Now, as a voter, do you know what to do when you get to the polling center? Now, here is a guide from the Independent National Electoral Commission.
On election day, here is how to handle your ballot paper from the point of collection from the polling official to the point of casting your ballot.
Once a voter is accredited, he is given the ballot paper all right.
After thumbprinting the ballot in secret, fold the ballot paper inward and flatten. Then proceed to the area where the ballot box is placed in the open and deposit the ballot paper into the appropriate box. Ensure the ballot paper is properly folded. Fold your ballot paper properly. Avoid mishandling your ballot paper and prevent blocked ballots.
We are going to introduce quick dry impact so that will eliminate the risk of smashing and spoiling the ballot paper.
That has been the ballot for today. Remember, it's just 8 days to the presidential elections. I hope your TVC is now a PVC so that you can get a GAV. I mean, go and vote. Fisayo Ogunfu is the name. God willing, I will return same time on Monday. Good night.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Be a breakdown that we're carrying out. Then system of local government, we are giving you 6 months. No man gives deposit. 90% of crimes are committed. It is well written, well presented.
Good evening, and glad to have you again on the program House Ticket, which brings you documented activities and events as it concerns lawmakers in the House of Representatives sitting in Abuja, the nation's capital. Lawmakers have taken a short break for the general elections come 16th February. But before the break, the House considered an important national issue being the Minimum Wage Bill 2019. The piece of legislation received expeditious hearing, which saw to its third reading at the floor of the House Tuesday, the 29th of January 2019. The various stages of consideration of this all-important piece of legislation is our focus tonight on House Ticket. Please stay tuned for details of this and more after this short break. The new national minimum wage is one important national issue that has dominated discussions around the country for a while now. After much agitation by the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), the executive, in response to the agitations, met with NLC and various critical stakeholders, after which a draft bill was submitted to the National Assembly for legislative work. The bill was forwarded to the National Assembly by the executive on Thursday, the 24th of January 2019. The Speaker read the letter to his colleagues on that day.
It is my pleasure to forward this bill for expeditious action.
Being an executive bill, the Deputy House Leader led the debate on the bill for the second reading.
The last time this bill was amended was during the 6th Assembly. And by the Act establishing the minimum wage, ordinarily and ideally, it is supposed to be attended
Silence,
after
please.
every 5
Order, honorable
years.
members.
As far as I'm concerned, we are yet to get to the right position in addressing the living minimum wage for Nigerian workers. And in light of that, I move that this bill be considered expeditiously.
The general principles of the bill were debated by the lawmakers as they raised the need for the Nigerian worker to have a living wage, as well as the impact an increased minimum wage will have on the productivity of the Nigerian populace.
Our house rules and the Constitution permits us to pan and beat this bill, so that at the end of the day, we will make Nigerian workers happier. The point I'm making, Mr. Speaker, is this, that the 27,000 or 30,000 proposed is grossly inadequate, Mr. Speaker.
As we are discussing, states are still owing salaries. Is it a matter of the money they are getting is not enough? Or is it because the management of the funds is not being properly taken care of by the states? These are matters that are very, very germane. Nobody should be in a federating unit and somebody dashes you money. Nobody should beg for it. So if the revenue sharing formula is not adequate, if the states are not productive enough, these are things that are material to the sustainability of a minimum wage.
When workers are happy, when they earn well, they are happy. So if we increase this, Mr. Speaker, it's going to also increase productivity. If a worker knows that he's not being paid well, his productivity is going to be very low. He's not going to put in the best in the work he's doing. But if you pass this bill and becomes law, I guarantee you, Mr. Speaker, that one way or the other, it will increase productivity in the country.
Honorable Speaker, dear colleagues, while I feel that we should support this bill, I equally enjoin us at the committee level to look at how we can make us reach a better living wage for our employees in the public service.
The bill was passed as second reading and referred to an ad hoc committee chaired by Deputy Speaker Yusuf Suleiman Lasso. We will take a short break, and when we return, our reporter will bring you details of how the committee engaged with stakeholders to get further input that shaped the final document. Please stay tuned.
I therefore appeal to all of us that in whatever party we now belong, we should continue to focus on the success of the 8th Assembly, as well as the peace and good governance of Nigeria. We must be individually and collectively committed to the successful and peaceful conduct of the 2019 elections.
The ad hoc committee constituted by the House sat on Monday, the 28th of January 2019 with critical stakeholders to get their opinions and input for final scrutiny of the bill. Stakeholders, interest groups and well-meaning Nigerians were all in attendance at the public hearing. Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara declared the hearing open, where he likened corruption in the public service to lack of sufficient wages for the Nigerian worker.
There are obvious reasons why the House has to give accelerated consideration to this very crucial bill. It is a bill that is long overdue, as the current national minimum wage, which was fixed in 2011, has become unrealistic due to the supervening economic developments in the nation. It is not in doubt that corruption fundamentally undermines democratic institutions and values. Corruption affects the poor most because they depend more on government for support. How then do we fight corruption from the roots rather than dealing with its symptoms, as is presently the case? The answer is for us to begin to pay workers living wage, not minimum wage.
The ad hoc committee chairman, Deputy Speaker Sulaiman Lasun Yusuf, during the welcoming address, raised some issues that needed to be resolved on a long-term basis.
The crucial question remains: can we articulate a dynamic and stable resolution of this perennial minimum wage, endless struggles and challenges? The current debate still hovers, among others, on the following: what is considered as appropriate? How often should modification be done that will reflect the economic realities of workers, the capacity of the state to honor the agreement without fuse from labor leaders, and the retention of minimum wage in the exclusive list in the federation? These are questions this bill will likely try to answer. On the same trend, labor agitation has congealed as the conventional means for upward review of minimum wage. We therefore have the unremitting obligation as representatives of Nigeria to devise a broad-based, across the spectrum, holistic and dynamic minimum wage template and regime that will address our peculiar diverse complexity and the issues raised above.
Soon after the opening, the technical session commenced with stakeholders presenting their positions on the matter. The Minister for Labour, Employment and Productivity, Senator Chris Ngige, in his presentation noted that the government had several meetings with all committees involved in the discussion on the new minimum wage across the 36 states of the 6 geopolitical zones, after which they arrived at a uniform figure, as opposed to the news making the rounds on different figures between the federal government and states.
The outcry that the government had approved 2 national minimum wage figures of 27,000 and 30,000 is not true. What the government approved through all the organs, the Federal Executive Council, the National Economic Council, and the National Council of States, was for a figure of 27,000 for all workers in the Federation of Nigeria. However, the federal government, based on the principles of ability to pay, augmented their own 27,000 without putting workers through a protracted negotiation to 30,000, which means that the lowest paid worker in the federal public service, GL1 Step 1, will earn 30,000 minimum wage.
He, however, pleaded that the state governors be allowed to negotiate and pay what they can afford without retrenchment or any form of intimidation to workers. The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, observed the need to improve revenue generation and blocking leakages in order to meet up with the payment of the new minimum wage.
As a nation, we do have a revenue problem. When you have a budget period where your budget is performing 51%, it is a very, very significant problem. What we're doing in the Ministry of Finance to improve on these revenue shortfalls is working very closely with all of the revenue generating agencies to ensure efficiency and to enhance the revenue. The President very much wants to pay a very good minimum wage. But even as we do this, we have to make sure that the federal government, the states, businesses, and both small and medium-sized businesses have the ability to pay. So sustainability is important.
Speaking on behalf of the Governors Forum, Governor Abdulaziz Yari, who is the chairman, said there is need for the stipulated 5 years review of the revenue allocation formula, as this has continued to affect the ability of states to implement certain policies.
We are not against the union, and I think we are the first people to say that we can go for 50, but it depends on with the revenue. One thing between the state, the difference between the state and federal. Federal, they have access of getting the funds through bonds, through every source of borrowing, but ours is limited. The loan collected by the state is what you call it, is a term loan, 4 years. No bank, if not because of some kind of adjustment that we have in collaboration with the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria, no state will be giving loan that exceeds more than your tenure of office, that is 4 years, 48 months. So we have issues there. We governors accepted the numbers mentioned there, and we told the federal government what they are going to do for us to be able to attend there. We are ready. And whatever the federal government needed us to do, we will collaborate and do it for the better Nigeria. Governors are not against the workers in any way.
When the chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, spoke, he observed that the union involved all arms of government and 30 governors in all committee meetings, where it was signed and agreed that 30,000 naira be adopted as the new minimum wage with a 4 years review. He pleaded with the legislature to adopt the 30,000 naira as opposed to 27,000 naira proposed in the bill. He also urged governors to intensify efforts in meeting up with the new 30,000 naira as signed and agreed during the tripartite meetings. He spoke about the fear of inflation that might result with the new minimum wage.
In our database, empirically, minimum wage increase have not actually increased inflation. And I want to refer to this report which we have submitted to you. Check in the reports. We have presented inflation rate in percentage from 2012 to 2017. In fact, when the minimum wage was increased, inflation dropped to 7.9%. And subsequent years, it also dropped. Let me also tell us what happened. In fact, the fact of the matter is that there are other scenarios that have actually brought our inflation very high. In fact, one of them, which we have looked at, is spending during the processes of election. This is one factor also that we must consider, because clearly there will be excess liquidity, and that will actually trigger inflation. But there is nowhere by the data presented by National Bureau of Statistics, which is also in the reports that have already circulated, that minimum wage have triggered inflation.
Other stakeholders were given the opportunity to make inputs as well, with the committee promising to consider all opinion while working on the final draft of the bill.
Many thanks for staying tuned. We are reviewing the stages the minimum wage bill passed during its consideration at the House of Representatives. The next process for the bill after the public hearing is consideration at the Committee of the Whole House and a subsequent reading for the third time. This was on Tuesday, 29th January 2019, shortly before the House went on recess for the elections. The consideration was done at the Committee of the Whole House presided over by the Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara. The report was presented for consideration by the Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee, Deputy Speaker Suleiman Lasun Yusuf.
Most of the provisions of the bill itself are fantastic. Now that the minimum wage is 30,000, and because of that, the person who is earning the minimum wage will now be earning more than 200,000 naira per annum. Is it taxable? And the Minister of Finance answered in affirmative that the tax law says that if you earn above, I think, 160 or 200,000, then you will be taxed. So, Nigerian public should know this, because from the past, when it was just 18,000, those at that level were not taxed. But once this one is assented to, then that means everybody will now be taxed.
The report was then considered clause by clause. Along the line, however, lawmakers made observations.
For you to be able to implement, there must be sufficient budgetary provision. So if, for instance, Mr. President signs in a few weeks, where is the budgetary provision? That means it will take effect the moment he signs in 30 days' time. So that's why we need a commencement date, giving them room and enough time to make adjustments to the budget. We pass the budget, and then it takes effect from whatever date we agree.
Since that the 2019 budget has not been considered and has also not been passed by this House, to see how we can include this 30, the provision, and make the provision of the 30,000 minimum wage. Now that, we're in the process of considering the budget.
May I move that we amend this bill to include that the bill will become effective, that is the commencement date, will be from the date it is assented to. I so move.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
At the end, some of the recommendations and amendments adopted include that as from the commencement of the bill, every employer except as provided under the bill shall pay a wage not less than a national minimum wage of 30,000 naira per month to every worker under an establishment. The national minimum wage shall be for a duration of 5 years, after which it shall be reviewed in line with the provisions of the bill. That the national minimum wage of 30,000 naira shall not apply to an establishment employing less than 25 persons. And last but not the least, that a fine of 75,000 naira shall be paid by an employer that fails to comply with the provisions of the law. The bill was then read for the third time and passed.
To prescribe national minimum wage for workers and related matters. Third reading.
After the reading and passage of the bill for the third time, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogora thanked his colleagues for their patriotism and support that enabled the bill to be passed expeditiously.
Some of us have to cut our campaign short to come so that we can attend to this very, very, very dire need of the Nigerian workers. And you have really, by this act, shown that this house is the house of the people. And this is the way businesses should be conducted.
Yes.
And to our credit, we did it within just 2 legislative days. The first was Thursday, where we took the first and second reading, and today we have considered a report and effectively passed this into law, subject to what the Senate will do. If the Senate accepts our position, then we are done and dusted. But if they pass anything different from ours, it means that we still have to go on conference in order to come out with a final document that will encapsulate the consensus of the 2 chambers. So thank you very much, honorable colleagues.
Accordingly, the provisions of the National Minimum Wage Bill shall apply throughout the country. The House now awaits the Senate version so that areas of differences can be harmonized. House Ticket will continue to bring developments to you as they unfold. Still to come on House Ticket, dividends of democracy reaches constituent as lawmaker graduates trained constituent in skills acquisition. Please stay tuned.
In his recent visit to his constituency of Malumfashi and Kafur Federal Constituency of Katsina State, a befitting welcome awaited lawmaker Babangida Ibrahim, popularly called Talau, as he yet again provided for his people poverty alleviation materials. The event was the graduation ceremony of 102 youths, including women, who were trained in beans flour processing and general production. The Skills Acquisition Training Program was conducted by the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in conjunction with Majidadi Multitrade Limited.
Kudi naira 15,000 da injin na nika domin
2 days were set aside for the special event where each trained constituent was presented with a certificate of training and a processing and grinding machine to start off the business learnt. Take-off grants of 15,000 naira was given to each beneficiary as well. Other constituents outside the training scheme benefited from empowerment items for business purposes as 359 refrigerators were distributed. For Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, the noble gesture is a sign of his commitment to empower his people to attain financial independence so that they can be gainfully employed to contribute their quota to society. 2015 zuwa 2019 kun ga yau da aka taka kamar yadda kuka sani kuma kuka tabbatar mun hito da sabon salo a wannan yanki muna da dan majalisar tarayya a wannan yanki muna da dan majalisar jiha to jama'a a cikin mukamai guda 5 da muke da su a Najeriya guda 4 suna cikin wannan yanki tsakani ga Allah mai ma Allah godiya yau ko da ɗaya zai gaza ko da karo ne ina tabbatar maku za mu ɗauke maku lalurar. Some of the guests at the event included the Special Advisor to the Katsina State Government on Economic Empowerment and Poverty Alleviation, Chairman Malumfashi Local Government Area, amongst other political associates and well-wishers. While commending the laudable efforts of Representative Babangida Ibrahim, the essay to the Governor on Economic Empowerment and Poverty Alleviation highlighted the importance of the initiative.
Wannan ya nuna cewa wannan dan majalisa ya gane ina duniya take yau kuma ya fahimci me shugaban kasa President Muhammadu Buhari ke nufi da yace zai sama ma mutane miliyan 3 aikin yi. Kowane injin yanzu ka ɗauka nan da mai shi da ta samu training ko da ya samu training shi ma sai ya saman ma wani mutum ɗaya aƙalla mutum ɗaya aiki dalilin samar da wannan injin. To kaga tun daga nan yanzu ga mutum 200 in ka koma ga waɗanda za su kama muku in kun koma gidajenku an samu wasu mutum 200 kaga ya koma 204 kenan.
The essay encouraged the beneficiaries to cash in on the opportunities provided by his office to further maximize the state government scheme of poverty alleviation and economic empowerment programs already in place. Beneficiaries were thankful for the opportunity provided by Representative Babangida Ibrahim. As they spoke on the training, the skills acquired, amongst other benefits it has provided them.
I learned how to make flour to Accra and Mweme, and how to manage it and how to sell it. Where can I go and sell it?
Koyi fulawan wake yadda za a mai da wake ya koma fulawa a rika sa shi a packet din shi ana saidawa ba tare da shan wahala ba. Muna gode ma Allah kuma muna gode mashi Ubangiji Allah ya ƙara ɗaukaka, Allah ya ƙara buɗi na alkhairi, Allah kuma ya saka mai da alkhairi.
Na koyi zamantakewa ta mutane da yadda ake iya kasuwanci, da yadda za ka yi mu'amala da su, da yadda za ka iya zama da su.
Here now, we wrap up the program for tonight. Thanks for your time, and remember, we would like to continue to hear from you through our feedback channels showing on your screen. House Tickets returns again next week Friday at 10:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA. Until then, bye for now.
network service of the NTA.
I believe that the way we react in our capacity to handle life situations are our best gift to our existence. I mean, no matter what the situation is, no matter what circumstances you find yourself in, the way you handle them properly, the way you react to them in the appropriate manner is your best gift to your existence. Someone might take a lesson from that. Hello and welcome to Sociolog. I am Ogidon Titilayo. We celebrate friends, family, siblings, loved ones, and even employers who we deem worthy of such felicitation. And it's more endearing when there is an unexpected celebration for these persons, especially when the celebrant is looking forward to a usual routine-filled day. Now, this was the case for one of our friends, a proficient businessman, owner of the Dome here in Abuja, in person of Chief Obiora Okonkwo. His gist antenna failed to catch any information, and the grapevine refused to drip. He didn't hear anything outside as he walked in, and a pleasant, wonderful, beautiful birthday surprise put together for him by his employees. Now, I'm thinking, what was his reaction? Was it euphoria, or was it shock, or was he puzzled? Let's find out. Stepping out of his car, Dr. Chief Obiora Okonkwo was greeted with an ambience that displays his awareness of the stark reality that awaited him inside the dome. But this time, a surprise awaited him as he approached the hall, where he was welcomed with loud cheers and greeted with a surprise birthday party. His nuance expressed surprise, followed by excitement as he was congratulated by members of staff, friends and well-wishers.
What did you tell him to bring him back here?
No,
without sounding suspicious, really.
No, there was nothing specifically to tell him, but because we knew that each day when he steps out, between this time he will always be back here. Except there was something extraordinary that would take him out of the office by this time, but every day he sits here from the hours of, from 1 upwards, he's always here. So we just told ourselves that
I feel touched. I saw the joy and happiness in their face because they succeeded, because it's usually very hard very hard what I said. I warned them. I said, I hope they're not working for bonus. Yeah, but it's okay. It's my birthday. I thought since I had fixed the birthday party for Saturday the 8th, that everybody would have tuned into that. So my whole mind and my whole effort and expectation was just on Saturday. So for them to organize this in the middle of the day, wow, I'm very surprised and I'm pleased.
The grand ceremony took place days after, which complemented the season of Christmas. The guests were thrilled to classical music. Likewise, a band of choir delivered several songs in their melodious voices. The event was well attended by friends, statesmen and well-wishers collectively who honored the invitation for the celebration of a dear friend, father and statesman with delight. Friends and well-wishers expressed their felicitations through words bearing positivity, appraisal and good wishes.
He gets drunk by putting happiness into other people. He's a very, very keen enthusiast of life. He has been very kind to my family.
An amazing man. He's got such a presence about him. He knows what he wants. He knows style, class, and I knew the first time I met him, I knew that I was happy to associate my brand with such an amazing person.
He's like a father to me in Abuja. You know, when I mean a father to me, he's the man that made me actually relocate to Abuja. That was 13 years ago. I came in as a musician and now I am an entrepreneur, and all thanks to him.
He is someone of vision, great vision. He keeps outdoing himself. You know, he moves from one project to the other. He's very restless in that way. It's like, I need to, you know, achieve more and achieve more and achieve more. So he goes after goals.
Sufficiently provided was food and wine to dine with. Justice was done to the beautiful cake at the spelling of the word dome. This act truly reflects that he is worthy of such celebration and he is much loved by these people. Chief Obiora is a native of Ogidi in Idemili, North area of Anambra State. We say congratulations to High Chief Obiora Okonkwo. I hope you're looking forward to a celebration like that, because I am looking forward to one. From one happy ending to another, this time we're talking about the launching of the Jazz Summit Group. Jazz music is greeted with different receptions from different people. Some view it as music for the old, but I know it's music to relax your soul and take away the stress. If you really followed, you will get to understand what I'm talking about. And this is what this group has come to do, for the love and appreciation of jazz music, to change the notion of people in the society.
One of the finest Abuja jazz artists, by about 2010 entertaining jazz enthusiasts
that graced the unveiling of Jazz Summit Group at the Grand Mirage Hotel, Abuja. A group of like minds who seek not only to resuscitate the vibrancy of jazz music in Nigeria, but also to promote friendship, business and networking.
The Jazz Summit is a new group and it's a non-partisan and non-racial group. Most of the time these days when we go out, we cannot hang out anywhere because our sons and grandchildren, they've taken over.
This music genre originated from the African American communities of New Orleans, United States, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Often referred to as America's classical music, jazz has now become a major form of musical expression, constantly evolving, expanding and influencing other music genres. Nigeria's relationship with jazz music began after the Second World War, with the return of expatriate Nigerian stars like Bobby Benson, Tunde Awuna, Bob Edwards, among others. It has been argued that jazz has had its better days in Nigeria. Some say many Nigerian youths who are key in determining the popularity of a music style are not keen on jazz music, hence the low patronage.
Jazz is just basically people with different minds coming together and understanding each other, through music. That's jazz. It's just improvisation. So if people with different minds come together and now agree on some message, then it means jazz. And the only way to do that, as I said, is make the younger ones aware that it doesn't bite, it heals.
It has gone through a lot of formation. There is the Latin American tilt, there is the American tilt, and there is also the African tilt. The likes of Hugh Masekela, the likes of Fela Nicola Kokuti, the likes of Jonathan Butler, and many African artists and many Nigerian artists that have introduced some jazzy elements, classical, pianos, saxophone, all expressions of relaxation.
Jazz music, according to some people, has the potential to benefit one's health, concluding that its innovative riffs, cool tones and complex rhythms can bring natural relief for mind and body. But it can also play a big role in the economic development of a nation.
Everybody talk about oil. Oil is good, but definitely tourism is better. because oil is exhaustible, but tourism is inexhaustible. And when you now see the content of culture, which is the strongest component of Nigerian tourism, is the culture. You see, a lot of people make one mistake. Tourism is about marketing and promoting the cultural content of any country.
What is important is for diversification, for government to put its hands on it and to have things like this that will attract tourists. Because when tourists want to come, they want to see, well, they want to see the cultural, the dances and the Owambe, the Atilogu dancers and all that. Those are cultural elements. But at the same time, they want to be in a place where they will relax and take Nigerian food and take the pepper soup, but have something that is relaxing, that relaxes the mind. And I believe that this is where lies the potentials for Nigeria.
Many that turned up for this unveiling surely had a wonderful time, not only as a result of the skills and quality of the jazz artist, but also the friendly and engaging atmosphere created.
Music is life. Music is full of melodies. Music brings memories. Music brings people together irrespective of their culture, ethnic groups, languages, or whatever their beliefs are. Music brings us together as we connect with the melodies, as it brings us to that, we get that feeling, we get that peace, we just keep loving what we hear as long as it comes with those melodies. Now, this is the essence of the Tamari Festival, as it gives our culture an identity, irrespective of who we are or where we are from. Matilda is going to be our guide.
Today is the third edition of the Tamari Festival. It's all about the alternative vibes in the music industry. Today is all about the hip-hop. It's all about the Afrobeat that takes over the world. Today is all about the alternative acts like Seth, Brimo, and many other acts. Follow me as we go on stage and see what they got for us.
Incredible platform for alternative music, alternative artists. It's a privilege to be on this particular set. What it means to me is that there is a growing need for alternative music, and there is a growing interest in alternative music, as you can see from the crowd. And it means that the industry is evolving. It means that there is space for all of us, and it's so encouraging and so heartwarming for all of us who have been struggling, to try and make our live music, come to life and have a crowd who appreciates it. So,
but you killing me right now, she said. Is it that you don't love me? So why you put me on go slow? No, 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 my baby, let us talk this out. Oh, my dog, better show your love for me if I don't.
But we got good vibes out here, and it's late, so we're good.
So how do you feel about it?
Yeah, actually, I like the energy, you know. Like, I can feel the positive energy. Everyone is here doing their thing, sitting on the ground. Slow vibe, good vibe. It's really, really good. I really like it.
Love to die, and I told you by your orders I put down the house with you. Maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's me. Everybody get down, we get high, get down. You and me are not around. Bring up, hey now. She turns, shut down. She knows that we couldn't slow down.
We are here with the amazing legend. Oh my God, I'm having goosebumps right now. Brimo, how do you feel today?
It feels good, you know. This is what I love doing.
Okay, so Brimo, talk to me about the development of alternative music in Nigeria.
In our own days, we found that there's was less and less live music. But in the efforts to bring back live music, we cannot just go back and make old school high life or old school Afrobeat. We have to find a way to make it rhyme with the times. And so that also gives birth to the alternative sound, you know, taking a bit of Afrobeat, taking a bit of soul, taking a bit of rock, putting them together and creating all sorts of crazy genres. And there's a lot of that right now in Nigeria. And so it's just so amazing to be a part of that kind of movement. Especially because in 2013, when this movement truly started, a lot of people were certain that it was never going to survive. But 5 years down the road, more and more alternative acts on the scene. They're even getting signed to major labels within the Nigerian market. So that's like an amazing growth. And right now from here, we want to see an even more powerful music industry, you know.
So Seb, there was Tamari Edition 1, 2, and now this is the third one. Can you tell us that thing that always pushed you to make such an amazing event?
What really keeps us going is just that belief in creativity, in the arts, in identity, in nativity, in our roots. Basically, that's what it is giving people an opportunity to experience something this beautiful. That's basically what keeps us going.
Okay guys, we've come to the end of the Tamari Music Festival. I had a lot of fun, oh my God. Brimo was amazing, Seth was amazing. All the amazing alternative acts were all good. But anyway, I'm actually looking forward to the 4th edition. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to the 4th edition too.
that is all we can bring you on today's edition of the program. And from me to you, I'm saying go out there and do life big, and whatever you have to do, don't be afraid. Thank you for being a part of the show.
The collection of permanent voters card (PVC) now ends nationwide on Monday, 11th February 2019. It is the civic duty and responsibility of all eligible voters to exercise their voters' right in the 2019 elections. Go get your PVC to exercise your franchise. This message is a public service announcement from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Locating where to eat in a strange environment can be quite a challenge, especially where there are cultural differences. A lot of times we fall back to the restaurant menu, but is it always safe? My colleague and I had an experience lately. Short of going hungry, we ordered according to the fancy names on the menu. And guess what we got? Lots of good-looking dishes that we were scared of trying them out. Quite perplexed, we called for the caterer to explain them to us.
This one right here is your traditional farmhouse breakfast, as we call it. It's just 2 eggs, some halloumi cheese, pork sausage, bacon, just all grilled. Very popular breakfast. This one over here is a Lebanese flatbread, which is a Lebanese bread, flatbread at the bottom, which is very similar to your pizza bread, unleavened bread with Napolitana sauce, scrambled eggs, some creamy mushrooms, feta cheese, basil pesto, bacon and cherry tomatoes. Okay. This one over here we have an eggs anassis, which is very similar to your eggs benedict, a different take on that. We've got toasted English muffins, some poached eggs, some hollandaise sauce that we make from scratch ourselves, and some smoked salmon. This is called the circus burger. It's a 200 gram of prime beef that we make ourselves, and it's grilled here to perfection. We don't use any basting or any synthetic products. Everything is fresh. Our chips are hand cut. Then our salads, we use also, as I said, everything is fresh produce. This over here is called the tropical heat. It's got calamari, grilled, pickled ginger, some pineapple, avo, as I said before, all fresh and all healthy. Okay, and then this over here is called an Italian job. This is your flatbread, as we saw on the Lebanese breakfast. It's topped with rocket, balsamic glaze, parma ham, some parmesan shavings, some sun-dried tomatoes, and that's it.
Next time, I'll ask questions before placing my order. Not just by reading the labels, but let me give it a try and see. Well, it doesn't taste bad. Well, but I still miss homemade food. I won't lie.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
NTA. You can't beat the rich.
The collection of permanent voters card (PVC) now ends nationwide on Monday, 11th February 2019. It is the civic duty and responsibility of all eligible voters to exercise their voters' right in the 2019 elections. Go get your PVC to exercise your franchise. This message is a public service announcement from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Good evening. This is Abrahamic Mission, a program that is to encourage religious harmony and unity. A program that is meant for all of us to understand ourselves, to know what we do and why we do them, not to compare, but to present it the way it is, the way it is, not the way it ought to be, so that you don't judge others based on what you know, but you judge them based on whom they are. That is the essence of Abrahamic Mission. You are welcome. Today, I have very, very big, important people in the house, and they are a bit related. The work they do is almost the same thing. And when I introduce them, you will agree with me that I have here Reverend Dr. Samson Jonah. Is the senior pastor at Ekwa Church in Garikito here, and also is the chairman of CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, in FCT. Reverend, you are welcome.
Thank you so much.
And a scholar of almost the same repute, who incidentally is also the chairman of Council of Imam and Ulama in FCT. He is also the chief imam of Wuse Community Mosque, popularly known as Fuad Ababidi Mosque or Fuad Mosque, is Imam Dr. Tajuddin Adiku.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. Well, those are my guests today. And I do not know whether you can link the two of them. They are both the owner of FCT as far as religion is concerned. I hope the minister, well, I didn't mention the administration because so that the minister will not say, am I taking his job for you? No. But as far as religion is concerned in FCT, these are the owners. I wish I can get the minister so that those who owns it, they are all here together today. But before we continue, let me quickly take some messages from our last week and other weeks. Some of our viewers, they've sent in so many messages, but please, you bear with us. Last week alone, we received more than 300 messages. So, and there's no way we can read all. If we're able to take your own, it's not based on anything. It's just based on random choosing. This man wrote, he said, good morning. I'm Jibola from Ibadan. I'm really impressed with your program. Your program has changed my mind, my point of view about vote buying. Thank God bless. Last week, we discussed vote buying. And alhamdulillah, we thank God, we can see that the impact is already being felt. This man said, my name is Ibrahim Mohammed Dika from Ilorin. We really appreciate your session, and we will not sell our future for a little amount of money. Please, we need you to keep motivating more, especially with the youth. Thank you. Somebody say, we are humans until religion and tribalism divide us. Kudos to your program. This one say, I don't know what that is. This one say, my name is Martins Esama from Lagos. The Imam and the Bishop are doing a nice job. The problem of this country is our politicians. They are the ones polarizing this country on religious line. Reverend, you agree with that statement? He said the imam and the bishop are doing a nice job. The problem in this country is our politicians. They are the one polarizing this country on religious lines. I tend not to agree with that. That is why, because if somebody says go and drink acid, will you say because somebody has told you to go and drink acid, you will now go and drink it? If you say go and do this, it means it is also in you. That's why you accept that. Or you want to?
No, well, the problem is caused by Nigerians. And politicians are part of Nigerians, and they cannot be the only cause of actually the crisis in the nation. So I think people are participating, including them.
So, like somebody said, a bad electorate will elect a bad leader. Good electorate will elect a good leader. So it means it's vice versa. Everybody has his own. It's not just about politicians, but it's about all of us. This one, there are so many messages. Somebody said, "Good morning, sir. I am Engineer Kalu Undukwe from Calabar. I am gladly impressed with this program, and I suggest we put away with vote buying by creating a systematic standard to prove the stand and worthiness of character of any aspirant, irrespective of political party. I can volunteer to provide the system if I'm given the opportunity." Well, we don't have that power. Ours is just to reclaim ourselves spiritually. This man said the right ways are as follows: set up a high-profile panel to probe, prosecute, and punish people to set as example. I mean, those who are doing vote buying or vote selling. And we should discourage ethno-religious sentiments and preach one Nigeria by putting the rights and qualify people in position, irrespective of what religion or where they come from. Mr. Remy from Zaria. That is my let me just take this one and be the last one. Say, "Good morning. This is Reverend Ifeanyi from Anambra State. I love this program. I must confess, but my contribution is that vote buying is the worst factor that has been killing election in this country. So I want to plead with the masses not to allow anyone to buy their authority with money. This time, because your vote is your authority." Thank you. I think this will be the last one that we will take today. We thank all those who have been sending messages. Please be sending it. We will still read it as much as God allow us to do. But before we now continue, let's take a short break and we go into today's business. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Abrahamic Mission. Today, we know we have one great challenge in this country. And if that challenge is removed, more than 85 to 95% of our problem is removed. And what is that challenge? The problem of corruption. Incidentally, the religious leaders that are with us today, there are people who are actually used to it, who are actually working on it, who have been ambassador of anti-corruption in all in their dealings. So many things has been they have defined corruption in so many ways. But as a religious man, let me start with Reverend. How will you define corruption?
Well, good evening, viewers. To me, when you talk about corruption, corruption simply means dishonesty.
Dishonesty.
Yeah. You see, when you are given an assignment and you don't do the assignment as expected, you know, and this corruption we talk about, personally, I have defined it as a monster with so many faces. It has destroyed a lot and is still destroying a lot. Unless we're able to do something about corruption and nip it on the bud. We cannot only be talking about corruption with our lips. We must ensure that we work, and ensure that we eliminate corruption. So when we talk about corruption, like I said, is dishonesty. It manifests itself in so many ways. through our conduct, through our behavior. You find it in the marketplace, you find it in businesses, you find it in the government, all over. Even in the private sector, you find corruption. Even judiciary, sometimes you find corruption. Yes, where you find, they talk about judges who are corrupt and the litigants, those who, So all of those issues, they are so sensitive issues. But the issue of corruption, generally, we are saying, it is not the best thing for us. We must ensure that we eliminate corruption if we must prosper as a nation.
Thank you. Imam,
Yes.
from a standpoint of view, how will you define corruption?
Well, I will also join the Reverend to use the word he used, because I see that what to be the best word to be used in defining corruption, dishonesty. And it will take so many dimensions. In fact, even between husband and wife, you can have an element of corruption in relationship. Long as one is not sincere in attitude, in behavior, in dealings, then that person can be tagged and named as somebody corrupt. It is more manifested actually in leaders, because they are in a position of authority. Betraying trust, entrusted in their hand, is a clear corruption that is manifested and everybody is seeing it. That's why their own area is more actually clear. But even in relating with one another, either in the market, either at home, on the street, in vehicle transportation from one place to another, you can see behaviors that are actually to be called corruption. But that of leaders is more serious, because the damages that is being committed through their own corruption is killing not only this generation, but is killing generation unborn.
My God.
And that's why their own is very, very dangerous.
You mean the corruption
in leadership?
In leadership.
Of course, in leadership.
But every segment of leadership, or
all segments.
Okay. Even in religious homes.
Of course. Also, you can see corruption also in the leadership in the mosques too, where somebody will, hide some amount of money that actually is for the mosque. So what I'm saying here is that corruption is almost everywhere in this country. Constitutionally, it's not allowed, but people has taken it as a norms. And that's why even we, the laymen, we clap hands for those who are corrupt when they became billionaires and millionaires. So that is also corruption.
We celebrate corruption.
Of
Even
course.
those who clap for those who are corrupt are
It's
also
called corruption.
Okay.
Of course.
Thank you so much. I think we are getting there. From the look of things, or from the definition by the two leaders, it has shown that from the book of God, corruption is something that God himself, he abhors it. He does not want it. And that is even from the way they have defined it for us. Reverend, I will still come back to you.
Okay.
From religious point of view, what is the stand of religion on corruption? Do God can allow you small? Will God understand that you just have to do this? For example, now everybody is complaining there is no money, and we discover that most people who have money are actually getting that money where they cannot. From religious point of view, what is the stand of corruption? The stand of religion on corruption?
Well, the Bible, or God himself, the issue of corruption in the Bible is not allowed.
How? Please, we want to
now,
know.
I give you an example. If you go through the Bible, like in the book of Isaiah chapter 1, it talks about a message to Judah as a nation. The prophet Isaiah gave a message to Judah as a nation. And he talked with the leaders of Judah who were corrupt. And he said, look, there are people, a nation corrupt, children given into corruption. In fact, Isaiah lamented. He said, the ox knows his master, the donkey is owner's manger, but Israel does not know. My people do not understand. He said, woe to you, sinful nation. people given into corruption. Children given into corruption. Now, if you also read the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, beginning from verse 1 to 5, you will see the Bible also talking about the characteristics of the end time. How people will be lovers of money, how people will indulge in so many activities. They will be so boastful, so proud, so corrupt, and so on and so forth. So basically, the Bible does not support corruption.
Okay.
That is the biblical stand about corruption.
The Bible does not support corruption.
At all.
But later we'll get there about Christians who hold Bible and yet they are still corrupt. But let's see what Islam says. Probably Islam allows. That's why you see Muslims who are still corrupt. Let's listen.
Well, I think he has said it all. When you go to the Quran, you find out that corruption has no room in the Quran. Allah condemned it in all terms.
Okay.
In Surah Al-Baqarah, that is chapter 2 of the Quran, Allah says in verse 188,
188, okay.
وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُلْدُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Now, the meaning of this verse is that do not consume illegally the properties of others. And look at the verse, very technical enough. Allah did not say a tribe, a religion, amwalun nas, the property of people, which means you have no any right to consume the wealth of a Muslim or a Muslim or whatsoever, long as that person is living, a man.
So you cannot say because you are a Muslim, you can cheat a Christian, and you think because you are a Muslim, you have the right to cheat.
Yes, amwalun nas categorically spell out
that it's
don't cheat mankind, don't consume any of his wealth illegally. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَ وَتَدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَامِ, so that you will influence the judges, as if the verse is talking to Nigerians.
How?
Especially in judiciary, where you find out that at times people will know between the lawyers, with all respect for them, and then English will be going on blowing for 10 years. The judgment is not passed. It's part of corruption. That's why people used to say in Nigeria, we condemn corruption in our constitution. It's not allowed. But we are almost institutionalizing it and allowing it among ourselves.
How?
Because those who are corrupt are being celebrated.
Those who are corrupt.
Yes, we are not supposed to do that. We're supposed to condemn them in our attitude. So Allah condemned it in consumption. He condemned it in influencing the judges too, to achieve what is not your own right. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ. Don't consume the wealth of others and influence the judges so that right is given to you and you consume. If you do that, you are only actually benefiting from it in this world. You are going to pay it back on the day of Qiyamah.
I want to support what he's saying.
Please, quickly.
You see, he's just saying exactly, when you look at the Bible, I've said it earlier, the Bible condemns in totality corruption. Now, one of the reasons why people are corrupt is because of greed. And by way of definition, greed is insatiable desire for want. No, the quest, you want to get more, you want to grab, So people defile, a lot of things to ensure that they get there. Now, when we talk about this corruption, sir, you look at corruption, like I said, in the marketplace. You find corruption, even at home. At home. You find corruption in the civil service. You find corruption in the government. In fact, in the government, when you talk about nepotism, maybe you find a brother who has applied for a position and he's very qualified, he has the qualification, but because the other one is your brother, you skip the qualified one and then pick your brother.
From your state, from your religion.
So that's corruption, nepotism. So when you find someone breaking or going against the traffic rules, that's corruption. And one funny thing, sir, you find out that lawmakers are law breakers.
How?
Yeah, when you find those in authority with their siren and they see the traffic light and they just go through it, the other person who is there watching, he knows that man is breaking the law. So he follows suit. So you are corrupting him, you are influencing him to do likewise. So the issue of discipline matters a lot. You see, let me give an example. Singapore, some years back, was tagged among the most corrupt nations. But they dealt with it squarely.
Don't worry, we'll get to ways out. I just want us to understand the concept first, because we must get to what are the effects of corruption. But before we get there, what are the way out? Before we get there, you have been talking, if we count everything which the two of you have said, as if you are reading from the same source, that you must not be corrupt. If our religious book has told us not to be corrupt, 95% of those who are corrupt are either Muslims or Christians. How do we judge them? How do we, as a reverend who admonish people, what goes on in your mind when you see those kind of people? Just in one word, because we are still going into a very far place.
Well, when you see a person, either a Muslim or Christian.
No, let's say you find him in the church and you are looking at him. How do you feel? What goes on in your mind? Just in one word.
I'm hot.
Imam.
You feel bad. Terribly bad.
I'm hot.
But when they are giving you money, pray for us, how do you... I don't want us to stay long on this area. What do you feel? When they give you money, they say, Imam, please, this position is busy, then just pray for us to succeed. How will you?
And number one, you will feel terribly bad, and you need to admonish that person, because
he will not give you again, though, if you admonish.
Well, it doesn't mean giving you. He cannot enrich you. This is why we miss it. Contentment is better than having billions. When you are contented with the little you have, you are a king. If you have the whole Nigeria as your wealth, and you are not contented, you are in poverty, object poverty.
A slave.
So, religious leaders should be very conscious of cautioning their followers, and especially as regard to the issue of corruption.
Now, before we go on a break, now we have seen this corruption. What do you think are the effects of corruption amongst us? We have been saying it's not good, and people are still doing it. Is there any effect? Even when they do it, why any problem there? What are the effects that we have seen of corruption?
Well, number one, you know, if we find people who are corrupt, or if a nation is corrupt, it hinders development. And that's why you discover that we are going back on, backward. It's like just recycling,
Recycling poverty.
So terrible.
Okay.
Now, do you imagine after how many decades till today we've not been able to stabilize power?
Good.
If you ask, what was the reason? A lot of factors complain here and there.
Corruption.
And our leaders pushing blame here and there. But it has continued from one decade to another.
Okay. Imam, what do you say?
So the effect is so terrible.
Effect of corruption in our community, in our nation,
well,
even at home.
Any nation that is into corruption and is not ready to find solutions to it, that nation will be in a very, very serious crisis that cannot be quantified. They'll be jumping from one crisis to another. All form of criminalities that is happening today in our society is as a result of corruption. Lack of standard education, lack of public universities and high institutions and schools that will actually educate the nation actually is part of
hospitals,
hospitals, schools, every development you can think of. I mean, the Reverend summarized it. We cannot develop through corruption. And in fact, that's why Quran compare corruption to killing. Any nation that is corrupt is killing that nation. Allah says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً أَن تَرَادٍ مِنْكُمْ وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. This is in Surah An-Nisa.
What is Surah An-Nisa? What is Surah An-Nisa?
58 of the Quran.
Please, what is Surah An-Nisa?
Chapter 4 of the Quran, verses
Chapter
58 of the Quran.
Okay.
Now, in this verse, Allah compare corruption with killing because it's as good as you killing the nation.
Okay.
And Nigerians are just a case study of that.
Okay. Yes, you can also join us in this discussion, but we are still going a very long way. But for you to join us, if you have our number before, you have saved it, please change it. To call us now, you are going to call this number 070-644-09785. Again, 070-644-09785. That is, if you want to call us, that is the number that you will call. But if you want to send a WhatsApp message, the number you are going to send it to is 070-449, another 449, then 49. For WhatsApp messages again, 070-449-44949. That is the number that you will send your WhatsApp messages to. You will join us, you'll be part of this discussion. But before we pick the first call,
I wanted, okay.
You wanted to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, please say it.
I just wanted to buttress the point he's making. In the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1, the Bible says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth.